You're listening to the Boldcastify College Series.
Yeah, we'd like to welcome you to the show. I'm Clay.
Brandon.
Mark.
Welcome you to the Boldcastify College Series. We're going to review a little bit of what happened last week in week 3 of college football and the disaster that happened in Louisville.
Oh, God. Don't even remind me.
Yeah, Mark's taking it pretty bad, as you can already see.
Let's just put it this way. Louisville had about every little bit of hype they could bring in. You had Lamar Jackson, who's leading the Heisman race. They were honoring Muhammad Ali. They were wearing special helmets. And it was also the opening day of Churchill Downs Fall Meet, which they had pushed back 2 hours just so that people could attend the Louisville-Florida State game, and then were given free tickets to those who attended the game.
Yeah, it was pretty rough.
So
they were definitely pumped for the Ali thing.
Oh yeah, as
100%.
I said, Ali and Churchill Downs as well. Those were the two big things in Louisville that day.
Churchill Downs.
The opening day of the fall meet at Churchill Downs and the beginning of the 2-year-old season for the road to the Kentucky Derby. So, yes.
I guess they're pumped for a lot of horses up there. That's what they do up there.
Yeah, it is kind of what they do up there.
Churchill is what now?
The home of the Kentucky Derby. Horse racing.
They like doing horse reproduction.
So when Jameis was there last year, was that Winston Churchill?
Okay. The Kentucky is the capital of horse breeding in the United States of America, actually.
So they're into a bunch of that kind of stuff.
You're into breeding horses, aren't you, Mark?
I watch horse racing. I do. But I'm not into breeding horses. I don't have that kind of money. A little too rich for my blood.
So how do you feel about the game? Do you think they practiced for Louisville? Do you think they watched any game film on them? Because to me, it didn't appear that they did.
They probably did, but to tell you the God's honest truth, Lamar Jackson looked like he was on a whole nother level. He was easily the best player on the field.
If I'm not mistaken, he pretty much was like the only player on the field.
Pretty accurate.
I like that.
And 11 of our guys could not stop him.
He looked like a taller right-handed Michael Vick.
I don't play football anymore. I don't, of course, going on the field and practice with him. But yet I could see every play that was about to happen. And it just blows my mind that the defense of Florida State could be supposed to be one of the top defenses in the country and couldn't figure out what was about to happen. See,
that's how you know when a player is good or when a game plan is good. When you already know what they're going to do and you still can't stop it.
But my thing is with Florida State, I don't think they knew what was about to happen. That's my fear.
And if
they were shell shocked well before. Yeah. As soon as it happened, and as soon as they went down, as soon as Jackson took them down the field with ease, they were already shell shocked.
Yeah.
You could see it. The adjustments, they couldn't even get to the line quick. They were moving around.
It wasn't even missed tackles. They couldn't even touch them.
No.
Yeah. And here's the thing. And if they weren't prepared, that's on Charles Kelly. Because you would think, with having a week to prepare for Louisville and the fact that what happened against Ole Miss early in the game, you would think that they would have prepped for, hey, let's come out swinging. But no, they did not come out swinging at all. In fact,
I agree with you. I think Charles Kelly Jimbo needs to reevaluate Charles Kelly's job description, job title. But at the end of the day, the players know what their job is. They know what their role is. This goes back to Pop Warner football. Watch the quarterback. Watch the QB sneak. Watch the quarterback run. They're more experienced than I am, and I could have told them before the game started, Lamar Jackson's going to run the ball the majority of the time.
Yeah, everybody knows it's going to be a spread option.
Everybody knows except Florida State. I don't understand. He had a month. Charles Kelly had a month to prepare for Houston and a month to prepare for Ole Miss. Off season to prepare for Ole Miss, and he had a month to prepare for Oregon, and it seems like both of those games, it's like they did not prepare whatsoever.
Either that or Charles Kelly's become predictable as hell. I mean, for me, I look at it this way. If Charles Kelly is becoming that predictable, you might want to find yourself a more aggressive defensive coordinator.
All I'm saying is, everyone's trying to compare them to the 2013 team, which you can never do, but we haven't had a defense
that good
since Charles took over.
It's been moderate at best. It doesn't have the attack. We don't have the blitzes. It's very vanilla, to say the least.
Exactly. And why do we have a vanilla? And another thing, what is wrong with the offensive line this year? That and
Trickett's struggling.
The fact
his
that
guys are struggling. Eberle's struggling pretty bad.
And DeAndre Francois was kind of looking like a deer in the headlights for half that game too, to me at least.
We could really go for defense, offense, and special teams.
Okay, well, special teams
Sucked. They had one punt return and almost another punt return.
And that's not Logan Tyler's fault, because Logan Tyler booted the ball pretty well.
No, it's not him, but he can't win the special teams portion. You got to have a whole. There's 11 people on the field.
Logan Tyler, as a freshman, already looks like a dang near All-American punter.
Yeah, there was a number. It was just a systematic destruction. I mean, they played the perfect game.
Yeah, you have the line can't hold off. Francois holds the ball too long, and then you have the defense who couldn't stop Lamar Jackson if you paid them $1 million to in that game.
Which, if they play this, no one's going to offer them $1 million.
I mean, seriously, no one's going to pay him any cash.
I like that.
And we definitely were missing Derwin, that's for sure.
Yeah, but I don't know if Derwin James could solve 43 points.
He would have, obviously. I wasn't saying it for that point, but it was just a miss from, I think, a leadership standpoint.
Yeah,
because I honestly believe that's something that is sticking to me. There's a lack of leadership on both sides of the ball.
I mean, DeMarcus Walker's been trying to get the defense. Him and Derwin James were trying to get the defense, but without Derwin James is like the leader of the back end, and DeMarcus Walker's the leader of the front end. But you didn't have the leader of the back end in the game. So
you are missing.
And also a quote from Jimbo Fisher that was striking to me, and I was saying it during the game. It reminded me personally of the Florida State Clemson game from 2013, and even Jimbo Fisher made a reference to that he didn't think we were 37 points better than Clemson that day, but when it hit the fan...
Yeah, when it hit the fan, it was obvious. It was very clear.
Yeah, it's like just one or two things happened and everything went south.
Quicksand.
That's basically a paraphrase.
That's exactly what it is, quicksand.
Yeah, it was a paraphrase.
And quicksand hit pretty hard and it was pretty destructive.
And a lot of people were reluctant to say this and where we were at that day watching the game.
Yeah.
But I was as soon as I saw us go down 28, when they got to 28, I was like, we're not coming back in this game, because a lot of people saw the Ole Miss come back a couple weeks ago, but I was watching.
It wasn't even that. I mean, you could already see it by 21. It wasn't even trying to come back. It was just the way it was done. One, this is a much more potent offense than what you saw out of Ole Miss.
Even though Ole Miss is pretty potent themselves, they did put up 43 on Alabama.
It's different. It's a different type of offense.
Definitely.
This is very consistent. They have a bit of a running game, obviously.
Yeah.
Whereas Ole Miss is very questionable. Ole Miss really doesn't have a running game to speak of.
Exactly.
And Ole Miss doesn't know how to finish a game, which we'll get into that later.
Yeah.
But Louisville, they know how to execute.
And their defense.
They are very systematic. They were putting out very, very defined different schemes on offense.
Yes. And then the defense for them, a lot of people, they have maybe the most underrated defense in the country. I will say it right now. Because we forget, Kelsey's basically an All-American level player. Right. Fields is an All-American level player. And then you have Harvey Clemens and Wiggins in the backfield, All-American level players.
Yep.
Sheldon Rankins last year was an All-American player who's now in the NFL, but the guys replacing him are dang near All-American level, or at least all ACC level players.
Right.
This is a team that is
very talented. We already knew this going into it.
We did. Not a lot of people outside of the South did.
Most of the ACC knew it going into it.
Oh, yeah.
What kind of team Louisville was going to be.
I told people before the season.
And everyone learned. Yes, we had it as an upset pick last week.
Well, I was saying that like before the season, I told people that if they lose 2 games, I wouldn't be that would be the most I could see them losing this season.
I don't see them losing that.
No, but I was saying before the season.
Right.
Yeah,
But
I wasn't saying
this
it
is
now.
the case.
Now,
Well, obviously now, seeing what we just said, we've spent almost 10 minutes talking about this, and it's pretty obvious the destruction that they've caused. And this Louisville team is probably one of the best Louisville teams we've seen in years.
I think they're arguably national title good right now.
Oh, yeah.
If they play like that,
I don't see them losing to Clemson. I see them making
that will be the test right
I
now.
see them playing Alabama.
Yeah, I just
Well,
At the end of the year
let's
right now.
slow your roll. Take the garnet and gold sunglasses off, which you're literally wearing inside.
I wear my sunglasses at night.
Yeah, well, Mark's a little something different.
with the schedule that they have, I don't see them losing to anybody. And Clemson's going to be a struggle. Houston will too, but I just
Houston is another adversary. That will be a
an interesting game.
It will be a nice shootout.
But if Louisville plays like they did against Florida State the rest of the year, they're gonna I could see them making it to the finals of the college football
I
playoff.
can too.
Oh yeah.
They are that dangerous of a football team. And I told people I thought that 3 of the 10 best teams in the country were in the ACC. And in the ACC Atlantic, nonetheless.
Well, I mean, I still want to see Clemson get their groove first.
Yeah. Between the ACC Atlantic and the SEC West,
and
that's half the top 10.
And I don't want to anoint us right now because we're coming off of giving up 63 points.
Yeah,
already
but on a fair note with us too,
this
though,
was
man.
preseason, though.
The Clemson and Houston has months to practice for this team. I mean, this is by far maybe one of the hardest teams on their schedule, and they've had time to prepare for it. Where we had to spend off season preparing for Ole Miss and Louisville within a 2-week period.
Right.
They did play a couple of cupcakes. You have a point.
Yeah, they were ready for us. That's a very good point.
Syracuse is an arguably 500 team, but other than that, yeah.
Right.
We gave up 530 yards.
Yeah. Because Eric Dungy, the quarterback for Syracuse, ain't bad.
He's not bad, but I mean, it's Syracuse
course,
at the end of the day. I mean, they had two practice.
We already made this point.
Yeah.
Our first team was Ole Miss, and it was a struggle.
Well, so we averaged 4 yards a carry. They averaged almost 7.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
we had 171 yards rushing. They had over 300. It was, and penalties hurt us too.
Oh, well, that's hurt us the first 3 games of this season.
That's something Jimbo's got to get under control. But
Jimbo is probably putting a foot halfway up their rear end.
This is obviously the worst game I've seen from a Florida State standpoint since I've been watching, and I've been watching a lot of Florida State football in my life.
Same here.
This was the most dominant game I've seen, probably ever.
This was the worst I've ever seen us play, and I've seen us play some pretty bad.
I've seen a lot. I've seen a lot of games out of Florida State.
I lived through Chris Ricks. I lived through Drew Weatherford. I mean, I've lived through some very bad.
I don't even
football.
really want to count the bad football as much, but I want to count it like I consider it a decent team. But this is just not really.
Yeah. But I said it last week. I said there's going to be a team when Florida State plays that we're not going to be able to come back, and I knew it would be a Louisville team.
It would either be Louisville or Clemson.
They don't get tired.
Yes,
very well conditioned, good head coach, good defensive coordinator. You got good staff.
But to wrap up here, we hopefully Kelly gets something together, or Kelly. We got to move on from Kelly.
Oh yeah, we gotta find somebody.
No, I still want to move on from Kelly.
So I'm
not. Yeah, personally, I think all 3 of us are on the same page. We're not rooting for the old Kelly.
No.
It's the same. It's the same.
I would rather have someone that can execute plays a little bit better, be more decisive.
We have the talent.
The talent's there. The talent is definitely there. There's no reason
we're
not capitalizing. There's no reason with the talent that we have.
And Jimbo's not a terrible head coach, so.
Well, I'm not talking about that. Well, yes, he's not, obviously, because you see the halftime adjustment.
National championship, yes. Okay. I see the national championship.
Right. Okay. Anyways.
Yes, you see the adjustments that he makes at halftime.
They're going to make it, and unless someone, and there's going to be some team out there that's going to try to hurt them more because they know that's the only way they're going to beat them.
Right. Yes, unfortunately, someone is going to go after him. So, with that, I guess we'll skip ahead and look around the league or around the rest of college football. The way the top 10 plays out.
Alabama barely escaping Ole Miss.
Hey, Who cares?
Escape
Everyone
is an
else did.
escape.
Escape is
We
escape.
can say that the same way because we barely escaped Ole Miss ourselves. Yeah. Alabama remains number 1. Ohio State moves up to number 3.
You mean number 2?
Yeah, sorry. Ole Miss moves up 2.
Or Louisville.
Yeah, I can't even speak right now. Ohio State moves up to number 2. Louisville moves from 10 to 3. Michigan stays at 4, status quo, because they beat Colorado, I guess. Clemson, with their throttling of South Carolina State.
Which had the most embarrassing play ever, arguably.
Yes. Houston, setting up for destiny.
Yes, H-Town takeover.
Yes.
Still in 6th.
They barely got by.
Well, they had to have
Cincinnati.
28 fourth quarter points to get past Cincy.
Yep, but they're setting up for a doomsday with.
Louisville.
Yeah, it's Louisville, right?
I think that's the only team that they have that can beat them on their schedule.
Yeah.
Still,
Who's coming up next? When is that game with Louisville?
at least a month from now. It's towards the end of the
The
season.
good thing about this top 10 right here, as you can see, there's going to be a time Louisville has to play Houston
Yep.
And
Clemson.
I'm about to say Clemson's coming up next.
Michigan has to
that's
play
a-
Michigan State.
Yep. At which Michigan State's coming off the big win over Notre Dame.
Yes, which
Correct me if
surprised
Which I
I'm
me.
wrong.
called.
Texas A&M will at some point play Alabama as well.
Yep.
So this,
You're going to see a lot of this cleared out through here.
absolutely, and if we remain, I don't know how Georgia's still in the 12, but they won't make it. I can guarantee you that.
Georgia, I think,
They-
will lose this week to Ole
Yeah.
Miss.
They play Ole Miss.
Oh, absolutely, Ole Miss is going to destroy them. We will definitely get back up there if we continue.
If we
to-
take care of our
Yes,
business.
yeah. So we could definitely see another ACC top 10 matchup in a few months. Weeks.
Here's an interesting game for next week: Florida and Tennessee. That's interesting.
I would have originally went with Florida on that one until Del Rio got injured, and now they have.
Until he blew his knee out. Austin Appleby is the
Appleby,
quarterback.
that's it.
Yeah.
I was trying to think of
Appleby's now coming in. And isn't he a transfer from Purdue?
Graduate transfer, yes, sir.
Yeah, because he came over from Purdue, and this makes now 2 quarterbacks are going to start this week.
Yeah, Danny Etling or whatever from LSU is
So
the
he's
other
going to
one.
be in LSU, right?
Yes.
So you're going to have 2 transfers from
Which
Purdue.
is sad because Purdue
It's
is
a state of
terrible.
quarterback. It's a pretty bad state of quarterback in the SEC right
The
now.
fact that you have 2 Purdue quarterbacks who washed out of Purdue nonetheless.
Well, it's like I was telling someone, communicating with someone earlier, that you're going to go in with an unproven quarterback who's making their first start in an SEC, right, for the team, i.e. Florida, going up into Knoxville. 108, 106 strong, rowdy fans up in Rocky Top.
Oh, yeah, it's in Tennessee too. Awesome.
Rocky
That's pretty bold. That's a pretty bold move.
Florida has beaten Tennessee, though, I want to say 12
11
straight times,
straight
like
times.
11, 12 straight times.
Yes.
And wait a minute. Rocky Top, you'll always be home sweet
All
home.
right, that's
yeah.
enough. That's enough of that.
I still,
We don't need you singing.
I think Tennessee breaks the streak. As bad as Tennessee is to me, I
Well,
think
that's my
they break
point.
the streak.
And the only chance that Florida really has is their defense.
Yeah.
Because I don't really see Appleby doing it.
And if they can get LaMichael Pirine going.
Right.
I still think Tennessee pulls off.
Because there's a good chance that right now Callaway doesn't even play. Because he's
Yeah,
out with
'cause-
a hamstring.
Yeah, which is
And
also
add on the
close.
fact he's still going through all that,
What?
crap.
It's nothing to do with
I
it.
mean,
It has to do with the
I know.
hamstring.
Well, I know that, but I'm pretty sure he's still having to play with the shadow of all that too.
Yeah, sure.
That's not
But-
helping.
But I don't know. That's gonna be an interesting game. That's gonna be a big game of the week.
How do you feel about Clemson and Georgia Tech Thursday? You think that could be a
I
potential
think
upset?
Clemson will win, but I think Georgia Tech basically covers the spread.
Yeah, I can definitely see it. I expect it to be a pretty close game.
Because Georgia Tech is actually clicking right now. So
Georgia Tech looks like they're kind of coming back into their own.
yeah, last year was just injuries killed them.
Yeah.
Take away the injuries, and they're not a bad football team, and that option can be tricky.
Yeah, it's definitely done a number on them. But Clemson just doesn't seem like they found their groove yet. I mean, obviously they've looked pretty good against South Carolina State. So I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they are.
South Carolina State also got shut out by Central Florida.
Okay, well, I was about to make my point. Maybe they have found their groove and we just don't know it. But I don't know. I don't want to hang my hat on them finding their groove against South Carolina State until they prove me otherwise. I mean, let's do it against another ACC opponent.
Clemson is like that.
Right now, they're playing very close to the vest right now.
Yeah. Clemson is like that big bully that is just like toying around with the little pipsqueak in the playground, basically. That's what Clemson basically is. They're playing with their food, I almost feel like.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
But
here's another one for you: LSU and Auburn. That's gonna be a good matchup.
I'm actually going to take Auburn. I'm going to take the upset. I'm going to take Auburn.
I like it. It's pretty good.
With that quarterback, I think.
Which quarterback is Auburn going with?
I'm not sure.
White, Johnson, or Franklin?
Like I said, if you have 3 quarterbacks, you don't have a quarterback.
This is one of those games where
accurate.
Who's the quarterback for both teams? I mean, they're going with Etling for LSU, but
I definitely want Auburn
Etling?
to win because North Carolina, they are right now at 27.
Yeah.
So if LSU loses, of course, that will probably push them out.
I'll push them right back up.
Trying to get North Carolina in there just in time for us to play them next.
North Carolina. The problem with North Carolina though
that's a
they still
3:30 kickoff, by the way.
Yeah.
Right.
Florida State, North Carolina.
I would like to add another ranked team in there definitely to play. I think it'll help our chances.
They still got screwed in that game against Georgia, and I'll even say it.
I agree.
A lot of calls kept Georgia in that game to the point where they won it.
And what about? Let's take another look back on last week. What about that Georgia-Mizzou game? How did Georgia get out of there? Mizzou handed that one to them on a silver platter.
I don't know, because here's the thing. Georgia needs to figure out who their quarterback is, and fast, because Grayson Lambert flamed out at Virginia, and when you see him play at Georgia, you understand why. And then he's big guy, he's 6'5", good build, but he has no arm. He has like a pop gun for an arm. And then you got Jacob Eason, who still holds on to the ball too long, still hasn't adjusted to the speed of the game at all.
Right. I mean, you got to give him your time.
And then Bryce Ramsey, who's nothing better than a punter now, who was a top 150 recruit at one time.
Yeah,
out of Camden County, right up the road.
I know. Well, you're not going to hit them all. What are you going to do?
Oh, yeah.
So we're going with Auburn for me and Mark. How about you?
Auburn or LSU?
I'm taking LSU.
Right.
So you're putting on the Tiger hat, huh?
Yeah, I'll take the Tiger hat.
Well, you're putting on the LSU Tiger hat. I'm putting on the Auburn
Tiger
Tiger hat.
Both Tigers here. Because
Yeah.
the SEC's got a bunch of Tigers.
Hold on. I'll put the Eagle on then. The War Eagle. I'm throwing the War Eagle on.
The War Eagle?
The other nickname for Auburn.
The other 1-2 teams ranked higher than us. 11 Wisconsin and 8 Michigan State. I'm going to go with Michigan State, obviously. But
Give me Sparty. Somebody give me a Sparty helmet.
how about you?
I'll go ahead and take Sparty.
So we all agree. Either way.
Next one you got?
Of course, Michigan plays Penn State. We obviously know that's going to be an easy one for Michigan. But of course, Michigan actually struggled against, who was it, Saturday? Really struggled against
Colorado, which is the doormat of the Pac-12.
Colorado was really pumped with the game because Colorado wore throwback uniforms to the '94 game. I mean, they were doing everything they could.
The Cordell Stewart to Michael Westbrook game, if I remember correctly.
Yes, that is accurate. I mean, they were all kinds of pumped.
Old Slash.
Yes, old Slash. So they're trying to do everything, trying to reminisce and trying to make the anniversary happen again.
Yeah, and then Penn State, they lost to Pitt a couple weeks ago when they were expected to do something. So
we ran their mouths so much.
Yeah, and
you see the trend. What happens when people run their mouths about certain things? They lose.
You understand this, Mark? You taking this?
Pat Narduzzi's done a pretty good job coaching there over at Pitt.
He is. He's bringing Pitt around. I like it. Pitt's looking pretty good.
Yeah, former D'Antoni disciple, who is a former Saban disciple. So
yes, he's been there since Saban left.
And another guy off the Nick Saban tree.
Yep. Enough about the family tree. Texas State and Houston. Obviously.
Houston.
Yeah.
Blowout.
Yeah, Houston's cruising. I mean, it's pretty clear Houston's just going to cruise.
Backups by the third quarter.
Baylor and Oklahoma State. Last year, 2 years ago, I would have went Oklahoma State on this one, but of course Baylor looks significantly better than Oklahoma State this year.
I don't know. I may still take Oklahoma State.
You think so? Even after
It's in Stillwater, correct?
Yeah.
At Boone Pickens.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to go with
nice.
the upset. I'll go with Okie State.
Oh, really? All right.
If Baylor can't score, then and Baylor's basically played cupcakes to open the season, like they always do.
Hey, Mark, someone's got a Game Boy for sale if you want it.
I'm good, thank you.
Just checking. But yeah, they usually have cupcakes and the discontent. I mean, Baylor's got the talent,
But they're disjointed as hell right now.
I mean, maybe Grove can get them going.
Now I like Jim Grobe. You know my thoughts on Jim Grobe. I thought Wake Forest should have never fired him, but that's just my thoughts.
Next, we got UCLA and Stanford.
Stanford.
You think so?
Not even close.
I'm taking UCLA.
I was actually going to go with an upset of UCLA too.
I mean, I think Stanford's a better football team than Texas A&M.
Trojan.
Also thought.
You mean the mighty Bruin?
That's what I said. I said
You
Trojan.
said Trojan.
I've been drinking,
USC.
okay? I've been drinking.
I will go ahead and put the tree on. I'll put the tree on.
Yeah, it'll make you look better. You already get glasses on.
Next.
Obviously, Louisville versus Marshall. We don't even need to touch that one.
Give me the
Why
Cardinal.
would you even agree, if you're Louisville, to go up and play Marshall right now?
Well,
But then again, I said the same thing about Miami and App State last week. Going to Boone, North Carolina. That's you have to take a bus, find a old man on the side of the road to guide you over there.
yeah.
If you're a Louisville team and you're just very good team,
And plus,
would you want to build up your schedule with just hard teams and take that chance, or would you want to?
This was scheduled a couple of years ago, and Marshall a couple of years ago was a pretty good team for a minute.
For a minute, they've been kind of crappy.
Kadeem Cato, when they Rakeem Cato,
They've been pretty crappy.
yeah, the undersized Miami kid that was quarterbacking for them for a minute.
Next one, Arkansas and number 10, Texas A&M. It never fails. I will always go with Arkansas.
A&M.
I'm taking A&M.
Arkansas is a huge upset team.
Well, it's at Kyle Field. Welcome to Aggie Land, home of the 12th man. I can't bet against Texas A&M and Aggie Land.
I'm willing to actually make a bet on this one, and I never bet.
$20.
I was actually going to say a beer.
Well,
All right.
$20 a bar tab. How's that?
I like it. This is going to be good. And everyone, y'all witnessed it right here. This video.
I will pay your bar tab.
And Mark, as y'all probably don't know, Mark doesn't pay anything. Really. Right? He's got a phone from 88.
But I will pay his bar tab if Arkansas beats A&M.
There you go.
And Arkansas beats A&M. And last but not least, Washington versus Arizona.
Ooh.
Washington, to me, has looked like the best team in the Pac-12 so far. Even though they've played, teams that are not really that good.
They really haven't played anyone, but
the eye test, they passed the eye test.
Do you have to wear those glasses to see the eye test?
They passed the eye test. And
I'll stick with
Chris Peterson has them playing the best I've seen them play in a
definitely
long
does.
time. And
he's got them playing pretty well.
For those of you who don't know who Chris Peterson is, watch Boise State from the middle of last decade. Thank you.
I don't think they're saying thank you back, but all right.
I said thank you. I was being
facetious.
Yeah, thank you.
So, a quick look back. Obviously, everyone knows the last week's games, but we'll just say, what about the big upset? North Dakota State knocking off Iowa. They were number 10?
They were 13.
Okay, sorry, 13.
But
Louisville was 10, sorry.
Yeah, here's my thoughts on that. If you're Iowa, you should be embarrassed right now. Yes, North Dakota State was the number one team in FCS, but you're a top 25 FBS team. If you're losing to any team in FCS, you shouldn't even be in the top 25, much less the top 50. To me, an FCS team, I understand them, a bottom half FBS team struggling with an FCS team. But if you're a top half if you're a bowl eligible FBS team,
yes,
you shouldn't be having trouble with an FCS team.
But have you thought about the fact that they're actually pretty good?
I never said
No, I'm just saying. North Dakota State could actually be really good.
I'm not saying...
And I've already told you a few times, the talent difference between FBS and FCS has gotten a lot closer.
I know it's narrowed, but if you're a true top 25 FBS team, it's still, a status symbol that you're not really supposed to be having a hard time with an FCS team. It's just, if you're a top 25 team, the talent level should be enough to where you shouldn't have issues. I mean, I understand, say for instance, if a Wake Forest or an Iowa State, a Doormat or a Rutgers or somebody like that was struggling with North Dakota State.
Yeah,
but Iowa, I'd be embarrassed. And another thing, why didn't North Dakota State just go up to FBS? They could make a bowl game anyway if they went up to FBS.
Maybe they just don't want to. Maybe they're enjoying where they're at.
The Fargo Dome's big enough now to be an FBS stadium.
How much is it hold?
At least 20,000. At least. And it only has to hold
It's not really big enough.
But it only has to hold 15,000 to be an FBS.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Villanova, that's the only reason why Villanova wasn't able to go up to FBS was because their stadium didn't hold enough.
No, because they're kind of crummy.
No, they're actually one of the best FCS teams.
I'm talking about the stadium, sorry.
See. And that's part of why Idaho's dropping down to FCS. Their stadium's kind of crap.
Right,
Kibbe Dome.
We're all over the place here.
Yeah.
What do you think about Ohio State knocking off Oklahoma?
Well, shows you what Oklahoma is.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of already knew, but I mean, it takes a little bit away from Houston's win.
It does a little bit. The shimmer is gone.
And they pretty much were hoping Oklahoma was going to win out. They kind of needed Oklahoma to win out to give them a chance of getting not bowl eligible, but playoff eligible.
In the words of the band Fuel, all that shimmers in this world is sure to fade away.
Wow, there's your poetry for the day, gentlemen and ladies. Moving on. Alabama Ole Miss. They give up another barn burner. Who's held accountable for that? Is it on Freeze? Is it on Kelly?
The halftime adjustments, I'd say Hugh Freeze. Because it seems like the first half, they come out basically they go through a knife like butter.
Right. We saw that.
There were a couple scores behind. I didn't think they were going to catch up like they did. But the fact that they came back to just lose by 3, I mean, it was good, but definitely not what I was hoping for.
I mean,
no.
It's like they play one half of football, and the half of football they play, they come out like a bat out of hell, but then it's like the next half or even the half before, they're like, yeah.
Yeah, pretty much like that. And here ends the video segment of our program. If you want to follow us, you can follow us on Boldcastify or Darn It and Gold, BCS.
Or Boldcastify Sports as well.
But with that, yeah, there was definitely some good upsets because you had that game, you had the Michigan State, which I mean I kind of seen that one coming because D'Antoni, he pretty much has Kelly's number.
Yeah, but I thought Notre Dame was more talented than in reality I guess they were because I thought Notre Dame had enough talent to beat Michigan State. That was my thoughts on that, and if Brian Kelly can't capitalize on all the talent he has, we've got issues. Because there's way too much talent on that team to be what they are. Yeah. I mean, Deshaun Kaiser, I've seen draft projections now, because he's a third-year sophomore, he's eligible to go. Yep. I've seen top 5 draft projections. There are even people saying he could go before Deshaun Watson now.
Yeah. I've seen that since the Texas game.
Yeah, in fact,
I mean, he really showed his point. Which I mean, he really moved the needle because he's really a really impressive passer.
Yeah, CBS Draft Scout actually has them as their number one quarterback.
Well, I mean, everything changes from year to year. We already knew there was a couple people that was going to come out of the woodwork.
Yeah, I almost
Lamar Jackson.
Well, Lamar Jackson's not even draft eligible. He's still good. They got a whole another year of him now.
I know.
I'm informing the people
Sorry.
that are listening.
But, I mean,
That may
these
not
are things
know.
we know. Yes, he's a red shirt.
He's a true sophomore.
Is it true sophomore? I thought he was a red shirt. Oh, my bad.
No, he started as a true freshman last year.
Oh, dadgum.
Because remember, they lost 3 of their first 4 because they were still trying to figure out who their starting. In fact, the guy who started the first game for them last year is now like one of their leading receivers, aka Reggie Bonifant.
Okay.
Yeah, they converted him into a receiver.
Yeah, if he is a redshirt freshman, he'll be redshirt sophomore. He'd be draft eligible. Duh.
Yeah, because Jameis was a third-year sophomore.
Right.
Lest we forget.
But I guess with that, we'll bid adieu to last week's college football. Because, I mean, that was a monotony, to say the least.
Farewell so long. If you say goodnight.
Can't really think of any other major scores. Well, Wisconsin did almost lose to Georgia State. So that could have almost been
The Fighting
cluster.
Bill Currys
Yeah.
almost took down.
I think Kansas romped over Kansas. Memphis romped over Kansas.
Here's my question about Kansas. Kansas is like one of the 2 capitals of JUCO football, the other one being Mississippi, obviously. How in the hell does Kansas have such a bad football program when they've got, like, about a third of the JUCO world in their own backyard?
I don't know what to tell you.
And plus, they can get some of what's left over in Texas, because there's enough talent in Texas for the whole world to grab.
Well, maybe they just don't care to go there. It's all about recruiting, man.
I'm just saying.
You can have all the talent right there in your backyard.
Pretty much.
Okay, look at Miami. Miami's has all the talent sitting in their backyard. They've had all the talent sitting in their backyard.
Yeah, the whole state of Florida, the speed state.
Well, not even just the state of Florida. Miami. Look.
Oh, the state of Miami.
Pretty much. I mean, when it comes to college football, you can recruit. I mean, what is it?
Houston was saying they're not even recruiting past 30 miles out of their backyard.
Right. I mean,
Tom Herman has made an effort to. That's why.
there.
That's why I've been calling them H-Town Takeover, because that's what they were calling themselves on recruiting day. The hashtag.
Yes. I most people know this because it's a
Now.
popular hashtag.
Now, yeah. But yeah, it's the thing about it is, to me, the state of Florida is like the richest recruiting ground in the country. State of Texas is a close second. And really, when it comes to quarterbacks, the state of Texas is king.
Yeah.
But when it comes to, skill position players, there's a reason why they call Florida the speed state. There's a good reason for that.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And then you have, if you're recruiting offensive linemen,
But
go up north, find you some big old Florida boys.
right. But my point, which we digressed off of.
Yes, we'll digress back to the point.
Which I don't remember which high school it was, but they rated one of the Miami high schools. Basically, it has the most NFL players. It has like more than 24 NFL players from it in the last
I'm sure.
12 years.
I don't doubt that at all.
Yeah, probably like Northwestern or
I want
Central.
to say it's Central.
Well, that's where we got Dalvin Cook from, with
Yeah.
Miami Central.
I'm pretty sure it's Central.
There's like a whole bunch of like high schools. There's Central, there's Northwestern, there's Booker T. Washington.
And there you go. You're making my point.
Yeah,
Miami can just recruit from right there. If they can get their own backyard, Miami should be beyond a powerhouse.
Miami and
Miami
Jackson.
hasn't even won 10 games since 2003.
That is completely sad, because
It's all about recruiting. About your whole Kansas point, it goes back to recruiting.
yeah.
If you can't recruit your own backyard, then guess what? You're gonna lose out. You're gonna lose your own.
I mean, why do you think Bill Snyder has been successful for years? Was successful for years at Kansas State? What do you think he did? He basically raided the JUCOs out of Kansas.
Right.
He was notorious for it,
I totally 100% agree.
and it worked to an extent for him. I mean, of course,
He's done pretty well at it.
Of course, Kansas State's not really a powerhouse, but they're respectable.
Right. I mean, they definitely are pretty respectable.
I mean, if you look at the state of Florida, also, basically Miami and Jacksonville are where you find about half the players.
Right. So, any other key games y'all want to look at?
I think we've pretty much covered what we
got most of the games because we got a big game in South Florida coming up on the nose. What do y'all think? What do y'all see in that?
Game plan. Stop the run. That is the big game plan against South Florida. Quentin Flowers and Marlon Mack are going to be the key players to stop for South. Going to be the key players for South Florida, and those are the key players that Florida State really needs to focus on offense. When South Florida's on offense.
I like it. What kind of teams is South Florida looking like right now? I mean, they're looking up
8-5 last year.
Right.
I'd say they're about the same team this year. Willie Taggart's got them going in the right direction.
Yeah.
For those of you who don't know who Willie Taggart is, before he was at South Florida, he was the head man at Western Kentucky. He actually took them to their first bowl appearance a few years back. Yeah. He's a former assistant under Jim Harbaugh and was a former Western Kentucky football player under Harbaugh's dad.
Yeah,
if you need a
pretty good
bio blast on Willie Taggart.
Yeah, that's Wikipedia.
I really like Taggart as a coach myself. I
did too. But I'm excited about that one, and I'm definitely excited about the Ole Miss Georgia matchup. That one's gonna be real good.
Yeah, it's gonna be phenomenal.
Key for Georgia: stop Chad Kelly.
Yeah, well,
that's basically the key.
No one's had a lot of success about doing that.
Key for Ole Miss: stop Nick Chubb.
I think Ole Miss will get enough points in the half in the first half, so they don't have to worry about the second half.
I'd just say I'd go 8 in the box against Georgia. That's all I'd do. I hate to say this, it's the same plan for Florida State. I'd 8 in the box because DeAndre Francois has shown a tendency at points to hold the ball too long. He doesn't make decisions. His speed of the game is still a bit too fast for him right now.
Yeah, no, I mean, it all comes with time. I mean, the interior of the line still has some work to do.
I want to be sold on Francois, but I'm still having doubts.
Well, to be honest with you, I'm not seeing that they want to put in McGuire. I mean, the McGuire they said was perfectly fine to start this game, and they still put Constantine.
I think there's more wrong with him than they let on, but that's just me.
Well, there's more wrong with him. I think there's more to the story. Why they put Constantino of all people.
Well, he's also a fifth-year senior too, and I think they're prepping for the future now.
Constantino's not anywhere in the future.
I'm saying as the backup. Constantino. No, I'm saying as a backup. Why? I'm not saying as the
It's going to be Francois with Malik as the backup, or next year it might be Malik with Francois as the backup. Well, Constantino's not going to be that.
Constantino will probably be transferring, and if I was him, I would. Even though he's actually been helping recruit kids to Florida State.
Okay, well, he can recruit all he wants, but he'll probably be transferring.
Yeah, if I were him, I would.
Make it in college, he sure as hell ain't going to make it in the
Well, I mean, and there have been guys that when they transfer have turned out to transfer for the better. I mean, I'll give you a good example right now. Nathan Peterman looked crap in Tennessee. He has basically revived himself in Pitt.
Right.
And he was a local kid, 4-star prospect a few years back out of Bartram Trail High School, locally.
Huh. Don't even know who that is, so I'll be honest.
Nathan Peterman.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't know.
Quarterback for Pitt.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know either. I just know they're a fat kicker.
Yeah. I mean, I could be honest.
And the running backs.
Yeah.
The running backs for Pitt are pretty well known. Mr. Connor and Mr. Allison.
So, Florida corner Quincy Wilson says the Gators are going to win.
Against Tennessee?
Yep.
Well, Josh Dobbs better play like 2015 Josh Dobbs. And Jalen Hurd and Alvin Kamara better get the run game started for Tennessee. Because basically I see Tennessee hanging with them defensively, but they've got to find a way to get some offense.
No, that's the catch. Dobbs has got to start moving the ball and get the ball down the field, connect with people, because Florida's defense is going to keep them in the game.
Dobbs is very athletic, but he's erratic with his arm.
Yeah, he.
Tennessee scares me. They've squeaked by some teams that they shouldn't have.
Yeah, they've struggled with App State and Ohio.
They've struggled with Virginia Tech
in the first half. A little bit.
Well, and I think they were amped for that game. Tennessee was, but then
because they're up there. I mean, half of them are stoked to be playing in the Speedway, and it's a highlight in Tennessee.
Yeah, it's kind of
Rev.
Yeah, I mean, basically the demolition derby for NASCAR.
Yes.
That's what Bristol basically is.
In some other news, the ACC looks like they're going to turn to an analytics company to break a possible three-way tie.
We said this before the season even started, that there could be a potential three-way tie.
Well,
and this is in case of the Atlantic Division.
Definitely in the case of the Atlantic Division, because the Atlantic Division has 3 of the top 10 teams in the country in my personal eye test.
And this would obviously take, with what's already occurred in Louisville last weekend, it would take Louisville falling to Clemson.
And Florida State beating Clemson.
Yes. And
a couple weeks
Florida
after
State
that.
beating Clemson later on in Tallahassee, which would force a logical three-way tie.
Because Louisville has to go to Clemson, so that's going to be. Basically, it's a road game. Louisville going on the road to Clemson, and Clemson going on the road to Florida State.
All the home teams have to win.
Yeah, basically, because Louisville already did their job.
Yes. So,
and if I had to say,
if Louisville wins the matchup between Clemson, then it's a moot point.
Okay, so who's your 4 right now? Just based on your eye test.
What do you mean by 4?
Your 4 teams. Right,
for
if the
playoff,
season
right?
Playoff.
Yep.
Whew. Okay, I'm like...
That's Alabama, Ohio State, Louisville, and if it were today that they picked, I would pick Alabama, Louisville, Ohio State, and Michigan or Houston. Going off of today, I mean, it's of course a few months. That's obviously they got to play each other.
Alabama, Louisville, and I'm actually going to go with. I still have Clemson because I can't really take them out till they lose. That's how I kind of feel with them because, I mean, they were the runner-up last year.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to give them a lot of rope.
That's a lot of rope.
And my shocker, Michigan State.
Ooh. Man, you turned into a believer after last week.
Well, I thought Notre Dame was going to beat them. Turns out they didn't. And
so
I
one Notre Dame win, and that's a wrap.
Well, Michigan State proved themselves. And here's the deal. I want to see their defense against Ohio State's offense. Because Michigan State, the last few years, has tended to have their number.
Yeah. Yeah, they have. But we'll already see that in probably the national title. Not
but
the
Michigan
national,
State
the Big Ten title.
Are they that good, or did Notre Dame just not play to their potential?
I think Notre Dame's a good football team.
It's just usually I think D'Antoni has Brian Kelly's number.
D'Antoni is, to me, one of the 10 best coaches in college football.
He is. He's a very underrated coach. He's a very good defensive mind, and he knows how to coach a lot of coaches.
I mean, if the Nick Saban coaching tree, to me, his 2 brightest pupils tend to be Jimbo Fisher and Mark D'Antoni.
Yeah, I mean, so far especially, most proven.
Offensive and defensive.
Yeah. So, definitely can't really disagree. My top 4 pretty much are the same. I'll definitely stick with Ohio State. I've got to say Bama until proven otherwise.
Yep.
I mean,
same here.
I was kind of hoping to be proven otherwise because I did take Ole Miss in the game. But Ole Miss doesn't know how to finish. I don't know. Kind of want to say Clemson, but I mean Louisville did just hang.
That's why I put Louisville and Clemson in because I still want to give Clemson a good bit of rope.
Well, I can't put them both in. one's going to knock one out. So I mean, it's just logically you can't have two from the same division. It's not the chances of that happening are going to be slim to none.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I'll go with your logic on it. I'll keep Clemson in there until proven otherwise. Because we'll find out here in 2 weeks if Clemson holds serve or if Louisville is going to dethrone them.
Yeah, there's only one way that would happen is that Louisville and Clemson just goes into so many overtimes. They just do what they did back in the old days and just be like, you know what, it's fine, it's fine.
All right. Here's the thing with Clemson. I almost feel like Clemson's playing with their food. That's the reason why I'm willing to give them so much rope, because I almost feel like they're playing with their food.
I'm not going to go that far with it. I just don't. I think they're just being sluggish right now.
Lethargic.
Yeah, sluggish, lethargic. You can call it whatever you want, but they're just not very motivated.
They're a Florida State team last year.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh, Florida
They
State 14.
They could be playing with bided time.
They're basically.
I mean, we don't know. They could have gotten back on the right track after this last game, but it's a bad team, so we don't know. We'll find out a lot more with this week at Georgia Tech.
Yeah, because they did kind of beat the tar out of the team. That is the reason why Central Florida fans are no longer drinking in the basement.
No, what would happen if Georgia Tech beats Clemson? Clemson beats Louisville, and then we beat Clemson.
That would be a cluster. Louisville would still go to the playoff based on head-to-head.
Yeah,
it would be on polls. If you're dealing with the national polls, though, that would be a cluster.
Well, it definitely wouldn't help.
No, it wouldn't
by any stretch.
Unless Georgia Tech ends up being
from a national
much
standpoint.
better than we think.
You would need Georgia Tech to pretty much win the Coastal.
Oh yeah.
And then you'll probably see a rematch of one of the counterparts in the championship game.
Who's going to be in the ACC championship this year, though?
Right now, if I were to project it right now, it would be Louisville and Miami.
Wow.
See, Miami's making their way up.
You just throw Miami in there?
They're ranked number 15.
I'm throwing Miami in there because North Carolina's already crapped the bed against Georgia. Well, even though I think the refs had a lot to do with that, but still, they already crapped the bed against Georgia.
An average Georgia team, yeah.
Outside of this
whereas Miami has still not slipped up yet. Even Miami still hasn't slipped up, and Miami to me, but Miami to me still looks the most visually impressive of the teams in the Coastal.
No, I'll definitely say they are looking very impressive.
So right now,
haven't played anyone.
I would have Louisville versus Miami, just based on what my eyes are telling me at the moment.
I'll definitely give you the Louisville part. I mean, I can definitely see Louisville
because we don't really know what Georgia Tech is. In reality, we don't really know what Miami is, but I'm going off what I've seen them against limited competition.
Does Miami play Clemson this year?
I don't believe so, but I'm not 100%. I'm going to be honest. I don't have a Miami schedule. I do know that they have throwback uniforms that they are going to be wearing against us and Virginia Tech.
Well, yeah,
so they're going to be pumped.
Their two biggest rivals are.
We're playing at home this year.
Yeah.
We're playing down in Coral Gables.
No, we're playing down in Gables.
Welcome to Coral Gables.
Because I was about to say they're going to be wearing the old throwback orange versus us.
They're
called Legends of You uniforms.
Let's just put it this way: where Spanish is a primary language, is where we're playing.
All right.
So.
Okay. All right. Yeah. And pretty much, I'm pretty sure we're going to be pumped for that game. Rick's going to have them pretty dialed in a lot more than what we've seen in the past.
Oh, yeah.
So, all right.
We play Miami in 3 weeks?
Yeah, 3 weeks.
Yes.
And then we got right before that, we got North Carolina.
It gives Miami enough time to get in the top 10 as well, since they're already 15. That's 5 rows.
Yeah, they got to keep winning. I mean, depending on who's on their schedule.
After Miami, I'm trying to figure out. We get, I think, a week off or something, and then Clemson.
Wouldn't that be something? 4 ACC teams in the top 10.
Oh, yeah, that would be something.
Yeah, I think we get a week off, then Clemson after that.
I don't know. I'm pretty sure we... I know the Clemson game is Halloween weekend. Because it's the same weekend as...
I just want to see if they play Clemson.
I know it's the same weekend as the Georgia Tech game. I mean, not Georgia Tech, Georgia Florida game.
No.
And North Carolina and Miami. As I said, I want to say we get a week off, then Clemson.
Conference games.
Well, we really don't. And that's my point. Miami's opponents have really not been very deep. I mean, they destroyed Florida A&M, which is barely a division,
which is an FCS team.
Yes.
And the last few years, ever since they had the scandal with Billy Joe 10 years ago, they haven't been.
They had an alright matchup with Florida A&M. I mean, Florida Atlantic, sorry.
AKA Jeff Driscoll's little brother's the starting quarterback.
Okay, whatever. And they did do a pretty good number on App State. I was kind of impressed with.
Which is why I tend to think they're a much better team than Tennessee. But
let's not get ahead of ourselves. One game. It's one game.
Yeah, but it is a common opponent.
It's a common opponent.
And they did travel to App State.
Yes, they traveled, but it's also different than having the opponent in your house opening weekend. They had a whole however many months to prepare for them.
Well, so did Tennessee. Tennessee had 8 months.
Fair enough.
Too.
I agree.
So,
but it's that opponent being pumped. That little man syndrome. That's how college football gets a lot of times.
I understand.
But Georgia Tech,
Tennessee.
Georgia Tech and Miami match up. That is Miami's next game, and that will be October 1st. So they're right now on a bye week coming up.
Yep. So Georgia Tech, the Ramblin' Wreck from Georgia Tech and Helvin Engineers, by the way.
Yes.
Very catchy.
Miami will be going to Atlanta for that game.
Very catchy fight song, if I might add.
Yeah, it is very catchy.
Notre Dame's going to give them a run.
Yeah, that's what we're about to look up. After the Georgia Tech game, Florida State plays Miami on the 8th. That's gonna be, and of course we're down in Coral Gables. That's going to be a hell of a matchup. Times to be determined.
Yeah.
I'm assuming it's going to probably be a night game. It should be. And they've got North Carolina, and then they're at Vatech.
North Carolina could easily make it in the ACC championship too.
Yeah.
They got to go through us in mind.
And if let's see.
And then of course, like Brandon just pointed out, they've got a big matchup at Notre Dame. They've got to go up to South Bend.
Still trying to figure out. Because I'm trying to go through. I'm trying to go through
next month
our schedule, but I'm wanting to say we get a week off then Clemson after Miami.
I'm pretty sure we do. I don't know about it after Miami, but I'm pretty sure it's.
You mind double checking that then, real quick?
Yeah, we can check all that right there. But they've got a nice little road gauntlet after North Carolina because their next 4 out of 5 are on the road.
I still consider Notre Dame ACC for football, even though
they're
pretty much like a.
They're the redheaded stepchild of the ACC.
That was pretty much going to say something on. They're like a half brother of the ACC.
I don't know why they switched for only football, but
well, because of the deal with NBC, it's money.
Yeah, I mean this is the closest they've come to
joining a conference at all.
Yeah, so I mean that it is very impressive.
Because remember, they were only in the Big East for like 2 sports, I think.
Yeah.
For
basketball.
basketball
And everything else right now, though?
Yeah, they're
basketball, baseball, every other thing. Yeah,
except for football, and the fact they agree to play 3 teams a year is very impressive.
Yeah, especially with their little rivalry schedule.
Yes, well that's why they had to cut out Michigan and a few other teams. So, anyways, for Florida State, after we have the game at South Florida,
we get North Carolina.
Yes. We're at home versus North Carolina. Then we travel to Coral Gables for a smoke fest. Then we're at home versus Wake Forest.
That's where I'm missing them.
Yeah. So I mean, I guess if you want to call it a bye week, I guess you can. But I mean,
yeah, but then after that we get a bye week. Then Clemson.
Yes.
I was trying to figure where I was missing.
I don't want to consider anybody.
Yeah, because Wake Forest, I actually think Wake Forest has a bowl-level team this year. Might be a bowl-eligible team this year.
Maybe.
Because they were really young last year.
Right.
They had a freshman quarterback that's actually not bad.
Right. After Clemson, we travel to North Carolina State.
NC State, I don't think is going to be as good. Is not as good this year because Jacoby Brissett was the team last year. Now, as I said with Wake Forest, I think they're going to be much. That Hinton kid that's quarterbacking for them ain't bad.
Right.
He just was a freshman last year.
Right. Then we got Boston College.
Pat Tolles is their quarterback, the graduate transfer from Kentucky.
No,
So
okay.
they're expected to be a little bit better.
So far, they're not looking at.
Well, they did. I think their losses to Georgia Tech, which is a conference game.
Yeah, so far they're not looking very.
Is that
impressive.
their only loss?
I think so right now.
Are you sure?
We'll check that. But then we wrap up at Syracuse in the Carrier Dome.
Yeah, Eric Dungy and company,
Yeah,
which
they've done
their
some-
offense will be okay, but their defense is still leaky.
Yeah, where we saw Louisville just went up there and did some romping work for
Granted,
work over us.
Eric Dungy did account for 3 touchdowns for Syracuse in that game too. So
Yeah, clone up.
he's not a bad player. He's only a sophomore.
So, what are you saying? He did a little more work than Florida State did?
Yeah.
Okay, just making sure. And then we wrap up at home in Tallahassee versus Florida.
Yes, versus the hated Foreign Gators.
They're not for Gators anymore. They're Florida Gators.
Well, it's still great to be a Florida hater.
There you go. That's fine.
Still very great to be that, and hopefully we'll put Luke Del Rio in the grass.
That's fine. All right. Excuse us one moment as we check up the Boston College schedule for half a second. Yes, they have one win to their credit.
Oh, it's only one. They did lose last week.
I thought they lost more than just the one.
Yes,
They
lost.
got blown the heck out.
Yes.
By who?
Virginia Tech, 49-0.
Okay.
Yeah,
never
the
mind.
doors beat off them.
Never mind.
49-0.
Well, I didn't see the Virginia Tech game.
Yeah, they beat the doors off them.
I don't think it was
And
televised.
Georgia Tech.
Nothing.
Georgia Tech beat them over there. And
That was the one I was thinking of, was the Georgia Tech game. That's how anonymous Boston College is right now, is the fact that their games aren't even really televised.
but they did beat UMass. So I mean,
And they beat them worse than Florida did. So yeah,
whatever. But I guess they got that going for them.
and
Hey, we got a time for the game. Florida State versus Boston College, 7:30.
shocker. How that one's 7:30 and we couldn't get any better than noon for Louisville.
And it's on Friday.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's why. That we're having to play it on high school football night.
High school may be kind of wrapped up by November 11th.
Well,
So,
state
since we've
playoffs.
Already kind of trailed on a little further than we expected going through football schedules. We apologize. I guess we're going to go ahead and wrap up for the evening. We thank you for listening to the Boldcastify College series. We'll get a little more in depth on different games next week.
Yep.
We appreciate you listening. I'm Clay, to Apocalypse.
Brendan, Surfer Dude, 333.
And Mark at BCB Markopedia. Lo siento.
And you can follow our Twitter on Garnet Gold BCS or on Boldcastify, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and most other social media you can think of.
Boldcastify Sports as well, or Bcastify Sports for
Yes.
the general sports page.
For the general sports and football. Just stay in contact, ask any questions, and we'll be doing more periscoping. Ciao.